Greetings. In this video I'm going to teach you about comparing lists, finding matches within those lists, and using vlookup in a correct way. Let's say we have a list of animals with some random variable, let's say sightings, as well as a shorter list that I wanted to compare to this. It should be quite similar. And I have two additional variables here, whether I love it or whether it's in my home arbitrarily. The way to make this comparison would be to use vlookup. You see here I'm comparing E2, that's this, to this range, that's the entire matrix that I want to compare to. I'm comparing column 2, and false means I would like you to give me only exact matches, please. It is very important to note that for vlookup to work, you have to, for the array that you're comparing, make sure to put these little dollar signs in front of absolutely everything. You accomplish this by pressing F4, and you just keep pressing F4 until both the column and the row reference have this dollar sign. That ensures that you're always making reference to this particular range, no matter where you are in this formula. Other restriction is these lists should be alphabetized, otherwise it's not going to work. So these three animals don't exist, and they give me this NA. This is problematic if you're working with a lot of data, because if I try to, for example, do a mathematical function, it gives me an error. So I would have to literally come in here and delete these entries before this calculation will give me the sum. This can be inconvenient or straight up impossible to work with in a large set of data. So you might be tempted to say, alright, fine, instead of an exact match, it's okay, give me approximate match. And if you did that, you would indeed get values, and you would be able to calculate this without any problem. But what's truly going on here, if we go in and we change the second column, the data column, to the first column to see what we are actually matching up, copying that down, you will see that for the duck-billed platypus, it's actually giving you the data from a dragonfly because it doesn't have this. And for the velociraptor, it's giving you turtle, and for the garthog frog. This is very, 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 very dangerous, which is why we're not going to do that. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to use a macro devised by yours truly called compare lists. So I go ahead and push compare lists. What column has the correct names? It's column 1. How many columns of data do we have? In this particular case, we have 1 and 2. So I push 2. And then I say OK, and this will actually physically move every specific entry down to its corresponding entry in this list, or it'll create a separate blank row if it doesn't find it. To have vlookup functionality, move matches to the top, you would answer yes, and there you have it. This is an exact list. You can easily see what isn't being matched up so that you can delete it or not. And there's no possibility that you're confusing data. It's a little bit of a silly way to do it, to physically move everything to its corresponding row, but it is quite assuring to have this kind of a situation 100% guarantee that this is a right list. And then you could of course just delete this entry, and now we have vlookup type functionality with the guarantee that it works correctly. In this particular case, the short list was to the right. It works equivalently good if the long list is to the right and the short list is to the left. So in this particular case, I would compare lists. What column has the correct names? In this particular case, column 3. So I enter a 3 there. And how many columns of data do we have? Only 1 in this case. It takes a little bit longer because it's a longer list, of course. But anyway, there you have the very similar functionality to vlookup without any problem of having these mismatches. The other advantage that this file has is you might not want to move everything to the top. In this particular case, I'm going to run the macro I'm going to say column 1 has the correct names, and of course 2 columns follow the name, I'm sorry. Move matches to the top. I'm going to say no, because what this will allow for is for me to immediately see what is missing from a specific list. And this can be useful in the case that I'm compiling, for example, reports by 2 specific entities. The match is an important thing, but the data holes are equally important. And this allows you the flexibility to do either. The only restriction to this is that everything has to be alphabetized, just like vlookup. And that's about it. I hope you liked this video. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section. Thank you.